I will say that this year has been a year of improvement, despite some rocky situations behind the scenes, and I plan to address it in this video. But before we start off, I want to remind you that I still have a website. It's just moved to a new domain. You can check out my website at thebaratus2nd.com. Anyway, let's start off with a recap of this year. After the release of the third Best of the House of the Baratus II compilation video on December 27th, 2022, I became even more unmotivated with doing live streams, and keep in mind that I was streaming primarily on Twitch, while also multi-streaming to YouTube. I originally set up the multi-stream because Twitch doesn't keep the previous streams archived. The first video uploaded this year would be a simple gameplay video of Duke Nukem 64 multiplayer. I went decent in terms of view count, and it led me to follow up with more of these until May, when I felt like these videos weren't working out. The only video I did that wasn't a gameplay video was a tutorial video on how to set up and play DOS multiplayer games on Classic Gaming Arena. On April of that year, I received 2 HP Z230s for very cheap, and took one of them to become a high-end Windows XP machine for a while. But my motivation was starting to run a bit dry, as when I started to do no commentary playthroughs of Doom 3, I later found out that not many people were interested in non-commentary playthroughs, and as a small channel, this was a no-go. The next idea would be to do a Let's Play with commentary, whether it being a live or post-commentary. Now, having been inspired by High Treason and his Let's Plays, I would get my old Pentium set up and attempted to get footages going. However, capture card issues started to happen, and I decided it was time for an upgrade. So I purchased a DataPath Vision RGB E1. It arrived at the near end of May, and it was worth the purchase, by the way. However, I went with the idea of starting a Let's Play of Unreal, and after a few attempts at first, using live commentary, which I wasn't satisfied with considering I have a hard time talking when playing a game, especially when it's a fast-paced shooter. Then I attempted to do a post-commentary instead. However, after some more thinking and research, I would later find out that doing Let's Plays is an oversaturated market, and it should be saved for when you have a large enough audience. So I scrapped that idea, but looking back at when I did these 2 game reviews back in 2022, I decided to give that another spin given what I've learned. Now, the main issue with those 2 reviews was the games themselves and how these videos lasted a bit longer to digest. The Alien Shooter review could have been a bit shorter and called an overview, while the next video covering After the End took even longer than it should have. That was where I was trying to emulate Civi11 and how he did his videos, but wasn't satisfied with the results considering the game can get repetitive with having about 73 levels of shooting down swarms of mutants. So in order to prevent making these same mistakes again, I went with a better format that involves talking about its history and its certain parts of the games themselves, and even bring in my thoughts on said game. So I recorded an entire playthrough of Unreal, along with other footages, wrote the script, and narrated it using Audacity, and thus my channel's push has begun. Due to the success that I received, I decided to capitalize on it by making a video on the Ace engine, and then after that I started tossing a schedule on when videos would typically come out, which would be at Mondays and Fridays at 10 AM Central. So after about 9 years of this channel's existence, it is now having a purpose. Now let's look back at live streaming. Backtracking to May this year, I eventually returned to live streams but moved away from Twitch, due to having a bigger audience on YouTube than I have on Twitch. Plus, Twitch would later face some controversies, which added insult to injury. Following inspiration from watching Wayback Tech's live streams, I decided to soft reboot and label my live streams as Baratus Live on May 26, 2023, with the last stream on Twitch taking place 2 months prior. However, when I took some time off of streaming since January, I also took some time off of being a VTuber as well, due to how resource intensive it got streaming and VTubing on one computer. And keep in mind, my PC wasn't powerful powerful enough, and I planned to get a better PC for years. Now, following the success of the Unreal video, I wanted to still promote Akage Megane as a brand or mascot, so I did an okayish drawing based on one of the portraits from Death Rally and plastered it on my intros. It even became my PNG tuber for a brief while after the first few streams. Akage would eventually return as a 3D model on July 16th with the Redhead Strikes Back livestream. However, without realizing it sooner, I began to notice some rocky situations happening. At times I would start streaming without knowing whether or not I am in the mood or not, and in some cases led me to situations that would ruin a live stream. And on top of that, I was dealing with some technical difficulties with OBS and Discord. The captures would stutter and rendering lag, while Discord was open. And after a good amount of troubleshooting, I ended up moving Discord to another PC for a while. But later moved the capture card to another PC instead. Meanwhile, I would also release a bit more videos onward to July 3rd, 2023 with the release of the Bad Toys review. However, during this, I was suffering with a nasty power outage that lasted a few days, and to make matters worse, this summer was at its worst with temperatures, and was lucky that the power went back on, otherwise I would have suffered a heat stroke. So I've decided to come back to stream highlights for a bit, to keep variety, but they don't get as much views. However, I released a video essay talking about DOSBox IPXNet on my 23rd birthday, which went well, and then later released an overview video of Quake 2 Remastered, and a follow-up video to my Unreal video from June. Afterwards was when I started to become unmotivated on both content creation and live streams. And on October, it was starting to show. 2 live streams got ruined that month. And on top of that, I was dealing with an abrupt weather change that gave me some allergy symptoms and was messing up my mood in the process. On the video side, however, only 2 stream highlight videos were released. It was probably for the best that I released one more video this year and take some time off to recharge myself mentally and take care of certain things. Now, while there were some rocky situations behind the scenes, this channel's growth has since improved. When the Unreal video came out, I had around 430 or more subscribers, and reached 500 about a month later. And as of November this year, this channel has since reached 600 subscribers. It really means a lot to me because I felt like I have improved my craft, with still more ways to go. And once I get my motivation back, sometime next year, I believe, I will be able to provide more content going forward. Although it is unknown when I'll return to streaming, as I am not the best at live commentary. And even then, I would have to make some drastic measures to prevent a bad live stream. Guess we'll have to see, considering I might make the move to fiber optic at some point in the future. Anyway, that about wraps up this end of the year video. Reminder that a special video will be released on Sunday, December 10th, and I hope things will continue to improve next year. And as always, peace out.